This is delightful. I'm so glad we came here. Feel those vibrations at Camp Video Games. Well, hello there, and welcome to Camp Video Games. This is Junior Counselor Sean, and with me is Junior Counselor Josh. How you doing, Josh?
Hello, Junior Counselor. I am bright and shining. Just came back from a hike with the kids. We found a little bit of a new fungus.
Is it?
I let the kids get into.
Is it edible?
They haven't died yet.
All right. How they looking? Their eyes dilated, or are they?
Oh, massive! The size of dinner plates.
All right.
They're loving it. They love the new fungus.
Extra pudding all around at the dinner time.
Yeah. Have fun, kids.
Well, campers, here at Camp Video Games, we like to talk about video games and their media adaptations across the board. Today, we're continuing our talk on Final Fantasy VII. Pretty good game, Josh.
Yeah, I'm having a good time. Still, even though I'm cramming it in between a lot of different things, I'm like, I just want to go back to that Final Fantasy VII, man. It's
like the best pepperoni in the sub sandwich between a bunch of other stuff.
Right. Yeah, especially because pepperoni is always, it's the best. It's the spiciest in the Italian sub.
Is it called pepperoni because there's peppers in it? I'm not Italian.
Who knows? Let's talk about Final Fantasy VII and the fact that we just beat up a man who told us not to call him fat, so I will not do it. But his name's Palmer, and he was shooting us with a Mako gun, and then for some reason
he got hit by a truck.
And a plane took off without a pilot, landed in the ocean. It's called the Tiny Bronco, and it drops us off on a new continent. So I just wanted to set you up to tell us.
Heck yeah. And campers, if you're just joining us, we're right smack dab in the middle of a in-depth discussion of Final Fantasy VII. So be sure to check previous episodes if you want to get caught up to speed. We are now on the we're on the path to Wutai. So when the gang gets the tiny Bronco, it's been damaged by gunfire, and so they're just using this airplane as a boat, and the boat can't. I don't fully understand this, but the boat can only navigate shallow water, coastal waters.
Yeah, it seems more like a fear factor.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I think it's a them problem. It's not a boat problem. Like any boat, if it's buoyant, it's buoyant. It doesn't matter how deep it is.
It's not like as soon as the water gets 50 feet deep, it would just have some sort of secret undertow that swallows your ship plane boat underwater, right?
Cloud's just scared he's just scared of Gyarados.
Just enjoy the video game logic.
Yeah. Okay. So
you need to put, you got to put guardrails up sometimes.
It's true. And being one of the first like really massive quote unquote open world games, Final Fantasy VII did have some pretty unique guardrails around the
the open worldness is an illusion.
Choice is an illusion.
Yeah, right.
Life's an illusion. Love's a dream.
But like you can't like leave Midgar and go straight to the final dungeon to fight Sephiroth the way you can in like
Breath of the Wild.
Yeah. Or sort of Elden Ring. I think you there's Elden Ring has some sort of like keys you have to unlock along the way, but yeah, it's not quite that. That's why I'm saying that's what is like illusionary about it. It's like you see this big map as if you could go anywhere, but you really can't. Right.
I'm excited to talk more open world games with you in the future, specifically the Fallout series. I think you'd really enjoy, especially the first two titles in the series, which are before they took the leap to the first person shooter genre, where it was just a nice isometric style computer RPG. It's the good stuff.
Yeah.
But here at Final Fantasy VII, which the planet is called Gaia, we are about to meet Yuffie's. How do you say her name? Yuffie?
I think it's Yuffie.
Yeah, Yuffie sounds cooler.
I haven't played something where they say it out loud in a while, so correct me in the comments.
Well, the gang lands on the continent that Wutai is located on. Is that the far west continent? I think.
Yeah.
And so she stops the team like right after they land on the continent and warns. She's like, "There's dangerous stuff up there." Everyone's like, I mean, like, at this point,
we kind of know our way around fights.
At this point, my dude's like level 30. He's like, I'm really not concerned with whatever danger is on just a random encounter. But they get ambushed by Shinra troops, and Yuffie's like, "Oh, that's not what I meant," but oh no. But when you go into the fight with the Shinra troops, you got no materia, and Yuffie's gone.
Oh, what's that about, Yoofs? What's that about, Yoofs?
I gotta say, it's kind of nice. It reminded me, speaking again of Breath of the Wild, this reminded me of Eventide Island, losing all of this essential gear that we've since started to obsessively organize. And that's a huge part of this game for me, is just getting the best materia combinations as I can.
Yeah.
It's a very compelling gameplay function. But like Eventide Island, I'm relieved of the burden of choice. I just have my attacks. And it's kind of nice, but with no magic. I had originally in my crew, I had Aerith and Nanaki, and I traded them for Vincent and Sid. First and foremost, because they're my two new boys. Second, because I know they're both strong, like physical attackers.
Yeah.
So little mix up in the gameplay, because I've been keeping Aerith with me pretty consistently.
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever not had Aerith in my party.
Yeah. Okay. All's seems great. I mean, I'm enjoying having just this, like, back to basics, just combat, and like having to actually rely once again upon like potions, which I don't typically use. I keep a steady collection of them just because they show up in like as like the spoils of war when you defeat some enemies, but haven't had to really use potions or high potions up until this point, because
I didn't need anything. I mean, I got in maybe 3 fights all along the way to Wutai.
Yeah.
And I just spammed attack, and I didn't have any trouble.
There's these birds that you can encounter that they cast lightning all, and I almost got game overed. Rare for me, because I've been like spamming my like battle and like getting pretty powerful characters, but don't
worry, I've got a embarrassing game over coming up to tell you about.
The only thing that saved me was that because I didn't have anybody alive except Vincent after they used this lightning all on me. But luckily, rather than waste a turn to use a Phoenix down on an enemy, on one of my fallen comrades, which would then just keep us vulnerable to another round of lightning all, I had Vincent's level 1 limit break, which is Galleon Beast.
Yes, we love him.
And that actually like saved my ass. So Galleon Beast, when Vincent hits a level break, he Wolfman's into something else. So he's not only a Dracula, he's also a Wolfman. But what is Galleon Beast? Is he a werewolf, or actually let me look that up.
It's pretty werewolfy.
But Vincent basically he just turns into like Universal movie monsters.
Yeah, that's a good. We've talked about that already. So
yeah,
let's.
Oh yeah, Galleon Beast. It's a purple beast. Anyway, it fully restored his health, and I was able to defeat these wacky birds with a Galleon Flare, I think is the attack. It's just a fire all attack basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, save my butt. And then we get to Wutai, and you see Yuffie just like scramble off.
That dirty dog.
She done us wrong, man. Like, and when she joined the team, it was under questionable circumstances.
Right.
And what it really teaches you is you can't trust your own people. You just can't.
Can't trust your own party these days. So yeah, once we enter Wutai, this is a sort of stylistically, culturally like a old style rural Japanese village, and you can learn a little bit from talking to folks that it's almost feels like similar to like Hawaii style, like imperial outpost. from what you can gather, that I guess Yuffie will say this later when the scenario ends, but like we used to be like this proud, strong people, and now we're just this embarrassing like tourist destination.
Yeah, she refers to it as a resort town as well, and I think this is pretty, reflective of like it's a oversimplification of Japan in like a post World War II world.
Like any sort of Pacific, South Pacific, like island nation that has been sort of brought to heel by us imperialist colonizers here in the West. And if you really dive into the Final Fantasy VII like world lore of the anthology, this is
the Wutai Wars were an important part like 5-7 years ago.
Yeah, that's not as analogous to our world. They were the ones who resisted militantly the sort of like idea of being occupied by Shinra and the energy of Mako and all that. And they seem to have won enough that Shinra is not here, but they don't really have like, you're supposed to understand this place is not like under its former glory or something.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, it's sparkle has diminished as a result of the war, and like just their economy has resorted to pandering to outsiders.
Yeah, and so like we could pick up little tidbits of that as we do one of the more annoying parts of the game, chase you around town. Yeah,
hide and seek. What a fun game!
Did you jot down the places you have to go get her? Because this is like what I've played this game 6 or 7 times.
Yeah,
and it's like every time I get here, I'm like, God darn it! Like, where is she now? And then I did it, this week playing it. And I've already immediately forgotten like where she goes and what order.
Sure. Yeah.
So, give me that info.
I've got the basics. So first when you walk in, you see her scramble off, and you find her in a pot. You see a pot outside of the Turtle Paradise bar, like shaking around. She's in there. She runs off. And
there's this treasure chest in this shop, right?
Yeah, there's that's right.
I forget. It's the item shop. There's just a treasure chest sitting there. And when you open it, she just falls from the ceiling and goes yoink.
Yes,
and runs off. Basically,
she's so nimble. You chase her down again. And you go to Northern Wutai. You'll notice that the gate to the left is open. There's a gong that you ring. It's like it's this like in the background. There's this big tower that you can see. But you bring a gong, and a secret basement door opens. You go in there, and you actually find well, we should before we get to that part of it, we should talk about the
run-in we can have beforehand.
The Turtles Paradise bar. We found those flyers before. It's just they've got pretty good advertising money apparently. If you find their pamphlets on the other side of the world. But the Turks are there. They're on vacation.
Yeah. They're just chilling out. So you can come in, and it'll be Reno, Rude, and Elena.
That's right.
And Elena will be like, "Hey, these are the guys."
Elena's
like, we're supposed to get these guys. You want to get them? And Reno's like, "Come on, dude, come on, like vacation, just be chill."
I've got a quote from Rude, from Reno. Quote: "Those who sacrifice themselves for their jobs aren't pros, just fools." Like preach. Preach.
King Reno.
Yeah. I'm wholeheartedly in that camp as well.
Right. Same.
Your boss does not care about you outside of your productivity, and if they do, it's purely in don't trust your boss. Never trust your boss.
Which is funny coming from us. Neither of us really has a job with a profit based boss,
right? But also like we are not leaders of men.
Yeah, but we do not control means of production either. So we're somewhere between the working class and the like petite bourgeois, as it were.
Yes, and to all of our working class and petite bourgeois, patreon.com/campvideogames, where for $5 a month, you can get even more discussions about video games, video game adaptations, full playthroughs, and more. It's a hoot and a holler. Josh.
Anyway, so yeah, we run in with the Turks. And
Elena's like, so the Shinra troop runs up to the Turks, and he's like, "Hey, we found him."
Yeah.
And we don't know who him is, but Elena's like, "I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go help." And so
this seems to be
Reno
like
and
their secondary directive for their world tour has been spotted.
That's right. That's
kind of
right.
what this report implies.
Reno and Rude, they're like, "I'm gonna finish this pitcher of margarita." I don't know. What do you think they're drinking? I think the Turtles Inn had a specialty cocktail that they mentioned. I didn't write it down.
Oh, I don't know. I think Reno is like house cocktail kind of guy.
Yeah.
Rude is old fashions.
Yeah.
Elena, Long Island iced tea.
Okay. What about Sang? Sang just like a sake guy?
Sung, yeah, I don't know if that's being too much of a stereotype. But he's not here, so F him. We'll see more about him soon. Yeah, I'll take it. Sake for Sung. And let's see. Elena runs off.
We finally corner Yuffie as we're like searching through her the locales of Wutai, and it's in this basement.
This is where the order does come right. Is after you've gone around town every time, all 3 or 4 times you have to find her. She's like, "All right, I give in." You follow her to a basement of, we're pretty sure it's her house at this point.
Yes.
And she's like, "Just pull that lever over there."
Yeah,
that's where your materia is.
The old pull the lever gag. And Cloud pulls the lever, and his companions get trapped under a steel cage. And Yuffie runs off again. While you pull the other lever, cage goes right back up.
Yep.
And now we go to that underneath where you ring the gong in front of the tower, where you go into another secret basement. Wutai is full of secrets. There are secret corridors in great numbers in Wutai compared to other places.
It's almost like it's helped them resist imperialism for so long.
Yeah, that's right. And in that hidden basement, we see a ninja has kidnapped Yuffie. Oh my gosh, that ninja, he's working for Don Corneo, the lascivious mob boss of Wall Market.
Yeah, I'm trying to find my footage of this ninja guy, because they were a little different looking. Like you never see that character model again. I don't think.
No, I don't.
This
recall.
like all black character with like a katana blade over its shoulder.
It's cool. I mean, what was the ninja character's name in FF6?
Shadow. This character looks a little like Shadow.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just like a Shinra soldier that's been painted black, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I'll take him.
I mean, with Yuffie being kind of our resident ninja, she's not very ninja-esque in her attire, but if anything, like the way that she like throws a boomerang or whatever, a shuriken, with that big arm guard, she resembles the kid from Road Warrior, who I've talked about at length before. So, okay, Don Corneo, what's he doing in Wutai? And
what wouldn't he be doing in Wutai?
It's more like, who's he trying to do in Wutai?
It just seems like if you're a guy like him and you're on the lam, this is where you're gonna go.
Yeah, for sure.
This would have been the first place I looked if I knew the world layout as well. You know, the Turks assumedly would.
Yeah. And he also has.
I mean, this is like, for a guy like him, this is like, like creeps who move to like Thailand or
yeah.
What's the other popular one? There's another island like that where just like creepy pedos move to go be creepy pedos.
Yeah. He also kidnapped Elena of the Turks. So the Turks and Cloud, they come to an uneasy truce to save their women from certain sexual assault.
Yeah. It's odd. Our party is more concerned with getting our materia back
That's true.
than protecting
But to get
a
the materia
16-year-old
back,
girl from
to get the materia back, they have to save her.
Yeah, right.
Because she only she knows where she hid their.
It's a little odd that they're focused on this as like a means to an end, as opposed to like, this is awful. We need to stop this.
Well, she did rip them off.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't even check, but does she leave any materia for you?
No.
When she robs you,
It's
No?
all gone.
It's all gone.
All our materia is gone.
Yeah, I didn't even bother checking. I was just like, this is the part of the game that doesn't have materia. It's kind of fun.
Mm-hmm.
So in the countryside of Wutai, there's this mountain, a mountain with a giant sculpture of their resident god Da Chao. And when you explore it, you find that Don Corneo has Elena and Yuffie like basically kind of like, it looks like they're crucified, but they're just being like held up by ropes on their arms, I assume, on the statue's eyes. It's kind of weird image.
Yeah, it's a little creepy, and there's some nice little touch and go with the Turks along the way to imply the sense that you are in this uneasy truce that you mentioned, and working together as you find your way to Don Corneo and his very discomforting crucifixion of women he is going to do bad things to upon the eyes of the local deity.
It's weird.
It's not a good thing to do.
You know what? It's bold.
It's a bold choice. Not one I would make.
So Cloud and the gang, they corner Corneo. And I didn't even think of this until just now playing it. Don Corneo's got mad Jabba the Hutt vibes. In the sense that he's got like his slave women, and then if he wants, he can just trick you with a trap door where then you'll get attacked by his giant monster. Some Jabba tendencies, at least.
Yeah, I want this guy dead. I want him dead as a Corneo.
When he gets cornered by Cloud and the gang, he calls on the bigger brother of the monster you fought under his sex dungeon, Apps. Now we're fighting Raps.
Yeah.
It's a dragon that
you just attack. That's all you can do is attack and limit break.
You attack, and you might have found some bolt plumes or some other like items that use bolt 2.
I did notice that they sort of
they really throw those your way.
They want you to try that out at this point in the game, because it's the only point in the game it's ever going to be useful.
Yeah, absolutely. And I did not use it. And I killed this dragon very quickly. And here's something that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I earned AP after I beat this dragon. What am I going to use AP for in this fight?
That's hilarious. I didn't even think about that.
Come on, guys. Come on. But then Corneo tries to kill Yuffie and Elena. Enter the Turks. And
this is badass.
Yes.
This whole scene, Reno rocks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Walk us through what our bad boy does.
Yeah. Let's pull that up here. So yeah, Don Corneo, after his dragon thing is killed, is interrupted by Reno, and he ends up he gets pushed off the ledge.
Yeah. He plummets to his death.
And but like Reno is holding him for a little bit.
Yeah.
And rule of threes, right? Because Don Corneo has asked us twice, why do you think I'm doing this? Why do you think a guy like me would like double down, in this situation or whatever? And you're given 3 options to choose. So Reno does the same thing to Don Corneo after he's slipped and fallen, and gives him 3 options to choose. And I think Don Corneo, does he choose the obvious, like the one that he's been using, like that you're sure you're going to win, which is what Don Corneo's answer usually is. Out of the 3 options he gives you. Yeah,
because we're sure to win. Yes.
He says number 2, which is because we're sure we're going to win, is what Reno offers him. And Reno says all wrong, lets him die, and then I think it's Rude goes, "'Cause it's our job."
God damn right. Fucking pros.
They rock, dude.
It's cool because they're like, they are like Mossad evil lackeys of like the evil empire, but they're also like doing it like as rude,
as
Reno,
cool as possible
on their own terms.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Like they are truly like unaccountable to anybody.
Yeah.
Is the vibe you get.
I like Reno because he doesn't tuck his shirt in.
Yeah.
He's a cool guy.
And it's just like another small implication of that, of like, this guy's not accountable to anybody.
Yeah.
He gets to go to work and he has to wear a suit, but he can leave his shirt untucked, right? It's just like.
And they're on fucking vacation.
They did a great job characterizing the Turks. And then.
Well, okay. So the reason that the Turks are chasing Don Corneo, why Shinra wants Don Corneo, it seems that he leaked some Shinra secrets.
I mean, he leaked that they're going to drop the Sector 7 plate.
Yes, but being on the run like that, who knows what else he's blabbed at that point, because secrets are as good as gold in a world of intrigue and espionage.
Yeah. Well, and I mean that alone is kind of enough because the goal was to kill Avalanche, and Avalanche are the only people who got away.
That's
so they
true.
just killed 50,000 civilians. Does that sound familiar at all?
No, not at all.
No, you don't understand. Avalanche lives in tunnels under Sector 7. So we have to destroy Sector 7 and everyone who lives there to get to Avalanche.
They need some bunker busters. So Reno, he drops Corneo straight off the cliff. They agree not to fight Cloud. Since
well, our boys are ready to go, which is great. And it's Reno, the Turks, who are like, dude, it's our day off. No.
He's like, basically, he's like, I'm going to pretend that we never talked.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, then, okay, great. We saved Yuffie. Can we have our shit back? Yes. Also, here's some MP absorb materia that she gives you. It's a nice, when that gets leveled up, it's pretty useful materia there. That MP absorb.
Yeah, this is the first time I think I've ever really used it. I attached it to something that somebody's using right now in my party.
It starts off very, very small increments of MP being absorbed. When I used it, it was giving me like single digit like MP back. So not super, super useful, but once it levels up, I'm sure it gets better. Now that we've saved Yuffie, the Wutai shops are open to us, which they were refusing to do business with us when we first entered. They didn't want these out of towners. The Yuffie told them not to serve us, basically.
Yeah, I went a little out of order. I did this after the next dungeon that we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
It was the whole thing. But like I hadn't upgraded my weapons in a long time.
Yeah.
So that was like the primary reason I was like, oh, I've got to get this scenario out of the way. Not only because we probably want to talk about it for this episode, but because like I need some better weapons, and I'm pretty sure these are like the best like purchasable weapons in Disc 1. I don't know if that's true, but it felt true, so I went and I did it, and I got Cloud's Murasame.
Murasame. Yeah. That's the
pretty stoked to have that.
That's like, is that like a katana looking sword?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can, there's some pretty good stuff in Wutai to be had for sure. Now after, okay, so Yuffie gives their stuff back, and they're just like, yeah, it's cool, I guess. Like,
yeah,
the repercussions
it's
were
very odd. Everybody's just like, come on, man, that sucked. And you walk away without her, and she goes, okay, let's continue our journey together, and just runs along. There's no deliberation of like, should we trust this person who just robbed everything we need to survive?
Right.
They just move along without her.
In my case, they're like, you know what? Let's actually help resolve some issues with her family as well.
Right. Like, I think logically that would be the next best thing to do in the story, would be to continue on the rest of her character development that happens as a separate scenario that you can now come back and do anytime.
That's right.
But in terms of how it's balanced for like level wise, it's intended that you come back here in Disc 2.
Right.
And between all that time, it's just like, is this person going to rob us again?
For sure.
But you made the choice to resolve it right now.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Should we talk about that now or to come back to it after I've done it when it canonically should probably happen in Disc 2?
I think after playing through it, the what it adds to the overall story is pretty negligible. In term, it gives Yuffie some justification as to why she continues in her fight, but like all that really happens is a series of boss fights, and the boss fights themselves are pretty unextraordinary. But I'm just gonna blast through this because I don't see any real reason to go back to Wutai after this.
No, there's not. There's just that one thing, and yeah, go blast through the bosses, and then we'll. Sure. I remember kind of the resolution that happens at the end. We can tell.
So this is all totally optional, but it yields Yuffie's level 4 limit break, and the Leviathan materia, which both pretty cool stuff. So this tower that's looming over Wutai in the back of the map, it's a pagoda. That's the word I'm looking for. And it's a trial, a one-on-one fight against a pretty strong opponent. And they're like they talk to you like village elders of sorts, where they're just like kind of testing you. It's a strength test, test of Yuffie's spirit. But the first fight is Gorky.
What are these fake ass names?
These are some.
Right. Hit me with Gorky.
Gorky, he looks like just kind of like a flying gargoyle monster. I think again, like these, they're just fights. Like this guy has 3,000 HP. You can if you've been leveling up. My character Yuffie was at like 35 at this point, and that's just like a couple rounds of attacks. Same with Shake, who's he looks like Pen. It's just
my dear sweet Pen.
Yeah, we see this penguin in a character outside of Cosmo Canyon as well. And he's got 4,000 HP, so it's just a little bit of an endurance test. You've got just Yuffie versus this. It's a one-on-one fight, so I hope you like Yuffie.
Yeah.
Third one is Chekhov. These all look like base character, like they're common enemy character models. They're not even like unique. Like you just see these character models around. This next one is named Chekhov.
Does he have a gun?
He does that. He just doesn't absorb attack. It sucks. Like, I don't know. This part of the game took a lot of time for me because I was a little bit underleveled compared to what I should have been.
Yeah, if I do it, I'm just going to blast through.
Yeah, just get strong and just do it.
On.
Yeah, you can also, if you're playing the new versions, you can just press that God mode button, and I'm sure that'll make a difference. Third is Staniv. It's one of those monsters that's like swinging a ball and chain.
Okay, there is a pattern going on here.
It's
Chekhov, Stanislavski.
Yeah, I mean they're going after.
Who else do we have? Say him again.
We got Gorky, Shake, Chekhov, and Staniv.
Okay, I don't see a correlation with the first two names, but
I'd be curious what the original Japanese had these as, because this could have been lost in translation, because they might not have known what they were referencing. So as you go up the tower, you defeat an enemy. You go up to the next level. You defeat an enemy. Go up to the next level. After Staniv, you fight Godo, who we learn is Yuffie's father. And Yuffie she chides Godo, and like everybody that like is like now watching the fight.
Mm-hmm.
They're like for letting Wutai diminish to this resort town.
Boy, don't that sound familiar though? The young being disgruntled with the old about what they've let the world come to.
What we've inherited.
Yeah. We honestly, I know I said we ran out of runway with Final Fantasy VII Remake, as again, we're still recording pre-release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. But we get a little bit more of this with Yuffie. She is, there's a DLC for the remake which is you control Yuffie, and she is in Midgar at the same time that the party stuff is happening in Midgar.
Yeah.
And this is sort of her drive, is to like keep the underground fight of like the pride of Wutai against the Shinra going.
That rocks.
That's sort of what she's doing. So she's teaming up with Avalanche, which in Final Fantasy Remake has been expanded to be like, oh no, it's not just Barrett's thing.
Yeah.
They're like a cell of Avalanche.
I was wondering if that would be the case, and I'm glad that is.
So
that's cool. She's fighting the good fight.
So they build her out. They build that part you're talking about out a little bit more. Of her like, I'm going to keep fighting for Wutai even though all the olds have given up.
Yeah. The fight with Godo was by far the most difficult. This is Yuffie's father again. He's got he's got 6,000 HP, but there's 3 faces on the boss that turn around. One does like a physical attack, one does a magic attack. I think it attacks you with Trine, an enemy skill that's like a lightning based attack.
So similar to the summon in Final Fantasy IV. It's one of the most advanced ones you get. I forget the name of it. You have to go to the land of the summons and get it from the queen.
Oh, okay.
I forget the name of it, but that's it. It's sort of like a dice roll attack. Where
okay. Yeah. And then the third is a mask that heals Godo. So I was using Aqualung was my most powerful attack.
Hey, Aqualung. We have to do that, yeah.
Thank you. So basically, okay, with 6,000 HP, if I were using Aqualung, it would take off about 1,500 per attack. And so I'd use it 3 times. So that would bring him down to, 1,500 HP. Seemingly the next attack, I should be able to just defeat him. He uses a Cure 2 equivalent spell on himself, which heals 1,200. And I'm like, okay, so there's now 300 off. And like, I just basically, every time I would try to use it, he would heal it again. And I'm basically only taking off 300 per attack now. Yeah. And he's doing heavy damage to Yuffie the entire time. He's got this beast sword attack that just blasts you. And Trine is also quite powerful. Luckily, I'm using Big Guard, which is a magic barrier enemy skill. But it turned into really just an endurance test. Like, how long can I keep my health up while simultaneously doing damage to him? If I had leveled up my restore materia and I used regen, would have been very useful.
Do you have beta at this point?
Yeah, I have beta.
Okay. Is there a reason you went Aqualung over beta?
Okay, one of my enemy skill materia has beta.
You don't split the enemy skills. That's your first mistake.
Everything else is up to date, but when I was acquiring it, you have to go attack a Midgar Zolom to get it, and the Midgar Zolom has a tail whip attack that knocks you off the map.
Yeah,
that's why I didn't get it, because I have I actually during this session I acquired my 3rd enemy skill materia, but at that point I had 2, and so as it went, the other enemy skill materia got knocked out of the fight. I didn't bother with it again, just because I wanted to see it and be able to use it. But yeah, it is a pretty powerful attack. I feel like Aqualung did more damage overall. I think it has a much higher MP usage as well. So I think it's just the thing.
Anyway,
it took a while, but defeat Godo. And basically Godo's like, hey, like, you got to continue the fight for Wutai. Like, join these people.
Smacking his ass around brings him out of his stupor, because he's been it's been heavily implied he's almost like a drunkard before this.
I didn't pick up on that.
Well, they just say Godo, sort of the chief, you'll probably find him just in bed. And so when you're hunting for Yuffie, if you go to her house, he's just in bed and he's like half snoring and half being like, whatever, have fun, make yourselves at home. Like, yeah. So it's implied he's a little,
that's a
gone
running theme in Final Fantasy VII. The dad's drunk. Dad's drunk again.
So yeah, getting smacked around by his daughter kind of brings him back to the pride and the belief like Wutai can be great again.
Wutai is for the children.
Wutai, I resisted making that joke to this point, but I think at this point it's earned.
And also, but like, after everyone else has left the room, he's like, but also if you steal everyone's
Yeah.
materia after all is said and done, wouldn't be such a bad move, would it?
Yeah,
Wink,
right.
wink, nudge, nudge. Okay, let's talk about
And Yuffie's character development.
now
other than she'll get
she's-
sick a few more times.
yeah,
She'll
yeah,
get
yeah.
motion sickness.
Yeah, the rest
That's
of her
about it.
character is just that she gets motion sickness.
Do you get the Leviathan materia?
Yeah,
from
you
this?
get the
Okay.
Leviathan materia for defeating Godo. It's a cool water-based attack. Not many water-based attacks in Final Fantasy VII, but it's a good one. It's a Gyarados.
Yeah. So now we can get back to our quest, but I misremember, what is our nudge other than we know we want to find the Temple of the Ancients. I know because I've played the game a bunch of times. The next thing we need to do is find the Keystone.
Yeah.
Do you have details of like what is your hint about the Keystone? Because I know where there's a hint and it's very obscure and off the beaten path. I don't know how you're supposed to find it otherwise.
I believe the first clue I got about the Keystone was at Bone Village, which was like, now that I have the Bronco and I'm like able to further explore the map, the Bone Village sticks out like a sore thumb compared to other settlements. You go to it, and one of the prospectors there, we'll get a little bit more into Bone Village in a second, but one of the prospectors is like, makes mention of, I believe you ask, have you seen Sephiroth? He's like some black guy in a black cape. Said he was going to the Temple of the Ancients, but if you want to go there, you're going to need the Keystone. And
Yeah.
you know, I wish I'd written that down, but yeah, they're putting breadcrumbs for you. If you just talk, I mean, and like this is with every JRPG, just talk to everybody that you come across, and
so
it nudges you in the right direction.
The reason I ask is my experience left out a lot of context. That I think the main thing they want you to find is that house on the coast I mentioned, I think last episode.
Yeah,
where
yeah.
If you walk in, Cloud just goes, "There's nothing to do here right now." By Gungaga. If you go back, the weird just loner guy who lives there, I think he knows what the Keystone is, or he gives you some information about the Keystone that points you back towards the gold saucer.
That's the quote unquote weapon seller.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's like right within sight of Gold Saucer as well.
Yeah.
It's like a landmark that I used as a reference for it.
I think they just kind of want to send you on a bit of a scavenger hunt at this point.
Sure. I mean, well, now at this point in the game, like, you know, if we were playing this in 1997, like this would probably be a point where like dozens of hours would just be spent like fucking about.
That's a good point. Yeah. Here's how I spent them effing about, as it were. So I knew that once we have the tiny Bronco, we can get Aerith's level 4 limit break.
But first you have to take the buggy back to the first continent. So you have to drive the buggy back to the Shinra tugboat, which will cart you back to Junon.
It's a real pain in the butt. It's a lot of doubling back, and there's zero hints.
There's
about
no indication that
what
you should
to do.
this.
There's no way you're gonna find this without a guide, because not only do you have to hoof it back, you have to know that you need to go into Costa del Sol without getting out of your buggy.
That's right.
Because going there in your buggy means that when you stow away on the ship,
That's right.
they'll take your buggy with you for some reason.
Free of charge.
Free of charge.
You're technically, what's the word where you're sneaking on a boat? Castaway.
Stowing away.
Stowaway. Yeah.
Yeah, and they even call you a stowaway at one
You
end
are
or the
technically
other.
stowing away. You're paying a bribe off to like Shinra guards, but then they're like, hey, yeah, here, just go ahead and park your buggy right here. It makes no sense why, but again, because it has happened.
And then when you land in Junon, you can come right out of the boat, and there's a guy you can talk to.
Yeah.
Who's like, "Oh, hey, people who just stowawayed on a boat to get here. How about a free helicopter to the base of the town?"
Oh, I didn't know that.
because otherwise you just have to run through a bunch of
that.
screens, which I did the first time I tried to get Aerith's limit break, because I thought I did it wrong. but then I doubled back. That's the footage that's on screen for the YouTube viewers right now. Is the second time I went and actually got it. Okay, so you get out of Junon.
Yeah.
You've got your buggy.
You got your buggy.
On the other continent. So yeah, on screen right now, there's this little sailor guy. He's like,
Helitaxi.
Hey, you want a helitaxi? Anyway, so you're back on the other continent. You have your doom buggy. You find there's a river crossing you can go across.
Yeah, that's right.
You go in, and there's a guy asleep on a cot.
That's right.
Who will say random things to you, citing like just game data.
He'll make fun of you if you've escaped battles a bunch.
Yeah.
He'll kind of like, you've already run like 30 something times, or he'll mention how many times you've been in combat.
Yeah. So the first time I went over here, I thought like, did I do this out of order? Am I in the wrong place? Because I went in and out 4 or 5 times, and he just kept saying the same thing about huge materia.
Yeah.
So what you need to do is the last 2 digits of the total number of fights that you fought have to be odd numbers. They have to be the same odd numbers.
That's right.
I lucked out that on this visit,
you were close to it.
I was pretty close, and I actually just guessed. Like, I have the footage up on screen that like I ran out, I fought a few fights, and then I went back in, and he gives you a piece of mithril.
Yes.
Which is like, okay, he lives by the mithril mines. That's cool. Oh, a key item about mithril. What's this do? You get 0 hints.
Nothing.
You get no advice about what to do with it.
But you got it.
But you have it. And at this point, I like forgot kind of what to do. It's actually like, I kind of... Oh, no, I did look it up. I looked it up when I was streaming. Because like he gave me the mithril, and I was like, is that not? I thought he gave you
the gold or
the thing. I thought that was the last step. No. This is like a very obscure hidden trade quest.
Fetch quest, yeah.
So he gives you the mithril, and we have to then go back to the other continent.
Right. So backtrack, go back to Junon Harbor, take your buggy back on the boat, go back to Costa del Sol, and then drive all the way back past the gold saucer to the weapon seller guy.
To the weapon seller who can teach you about the keystone.
Yes.
Who lives just on a lone house by himself.
Ideal.
He tells you, he asks if you have some mithril and you can give it to him. He tells you there's 2 chests in his house and you can open one. First off, they're not. It's just like this mail slot on the wall.
It's not a chest. Yeah, it doesn't look like a chest. It doesn't look like any chest that we've opened dozens, if not hundreds of chests in this game.
Yeah.
And this
like
is completely unique.
The chests in the game are usually, they stand out as 3D modeled objects.
Outside of the pre-rendered background, they've got that like distinct, like bold coloring to them. Whereas this one is
boom.
Is
there it was on screen. I got it. Okay, so
great gospel.
I got great gospel.
Now, were you able to just immediately teach it to Aerith?
I was, because I did have her level 3 limit break. So I believe right here I will be teaching it to her. I used it on everybody wrong. Oh, no, she's not quite ready
yet.
I had to have both level 3 limit breaks.
Yeah, you only have Planet Protector at this.
So I went and I got the second one, which was that I cheated for. I just put on the God mode and just cast Planet Protector. That's like 5 times.
Because when you put God mode on, it immediately fills your limit break and heals you and restores your MP.
Right.
Very useful.
So that was the next step, was me cheating for about 3 minutes to get the next limit break so that I had all of them, so that I could give her level 4 limit break. Okay, here it is. I think I got the footage. This is it. This is the big moment. I just gave it to her.
Is this their first time achieving this?
I've done it before.
Okay, I've never done this.
I've gotten great gospel.
Huzzah!
All right, this is riveting footage. If you go watch us on YouTube.com at Camp Video Games. And then I'm on my way back to the tiny Bronco. I'm going to skip ahead here. And I found this enemy on the coast. It's on the west coast, west of Cosmo Canyon. This jellyfish thing.
Okay.
I've never seen this enemy before. And I
I fought this.
I start fighting it. I have not had a chance yet to use Great Gospel. And I forget how. I don't want to stall for too long, so I'm just gonna give it away. It kills me. It game overs me.
You got killed by this jellyfish?
It uses this deadly needle that casts stone or petrify.
Oh my god!
And it casts it a lot.
Oh wow! You don't even get a countdown timer for it.
So it did three times in a row after I'd already input everybody's attacks, and I got game over.
Wow!
And I hadn't saved.
No!
And I lost everything I did to get her level 4 limit break. And I never used it.
Camp Video Games tip of the day. Save often. Damn, dude. Damn. It's because of that damn pizza.
Gosh dang pizza. I don't even know if God mode would have helped me because I don't know if God mode protects
No,
from...
it does not protect you from that. That sucks.
Yeah, dude.
That
It was
totally
bad.
sucks.
It was bad. I just sat there on stream like, what do I do?
That's some...
What do I do?
Pardon my language. That's some foolishness.
I was just like, I think this is the first thing I did on the session where I was like, I'm going to finish disc 1.
Yeah.
This is the first thing that happened to me with like 2 hours left of disc 1. I was just like so defeated. This was, one of my least fun play sessions of Final Fantasy VII of all time.
That's such a bummer.
I still had fun.
I'm so sorry for your loss.
Anyway.
Do you want to describe... So you didn't get a chance to use Great Gospel?
Nope.
You didn't
Never
bother doing
used
that
it.
again. You're just like, fuck it, let's go on with the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was like, I only have so much time in my life.
I will say that I went through the steps to gain Great Gospel, but I had not yet used Planet Protector enough times to get Pulse of Life, which is her second level 3 limit break. But so just to summarize what Great Gospel does, Eris summons the heavenly host, and the party is fully recovered and then made temporarily invulnerable. Pretty cool. Planet Protector also makes you temporarily invulnerable.
Yeah.
So
honestly, like
pretty good limit
Planet
break.
Protector's good, but most of her limit breaks outside of level 1 and 4 are kind of like trash.
Yeah.
We talked about that last time.
Yeah.
So that was that. Let's move on to the gold saucer.
Yeah. We find out that the keystone it was purchased by a rich man.
Yeah, which I didn't find this out. I just went straight to the gold saucer.
Yeah.
I didn't even know I was looking for the key. At least my characters didn't know.
Yeah.
I just went straight to the gold saucer, and they're like, "Oh, here we are. Let's find the keystone." You know, it's a little weird the way you can do this all out of order.
We are programmed.
Yeah.
Dio has this like museum of like curiosities.
Yeah.
And the keystone's there, and he tells Cloud that like they can have it if he can watch Cloud fight. It's like the
let me watch
like
you fight, son.
He's
Let
like,
Daddy watch
dance
you
for
fight.
me. Dance for me like your mother used to.
Yeah. So them's the breaks.
So Cloud, the battle square, battle arena. This is a freebie fight. If you complete this fight, there's 8 battles. There's some unique items you can acquire. I think it's a Choco Feather and a Protect Vest.
Yeah, I God moded my way through just to see what happens if you finish it.
I was not prepared. I had I tend to load Cloud with his rune sword, which gives you double materia growth, which is not maximized for combat. It's just good for materia growth because I'm playing the long game here. So my materia combinations were all wacky. I wasn't prepared for the fight. I got killed in the first round.
Oh, really?
I was just like, and I was also just like, I'm not gonna, because I've played enough Battle Arena to know that like it can get a little wild after a while. And I was just like, I'm gonna get the keystone no matter what happens. Because even if you die in the first fight, Dio's like, that sucked. Here's the keystone.
Yeah. I'm really excited in Rebirth to find out like what all these oddities around his room of treasures is.
Yeah.
That's going to be interesting. But like I said,
You blasted it.
I god moded just to see what those special items I can get where, and was sort of nonplussed about it.
With
you
the
don't
Choco
get
Feather non-plucked.
yeah, you don't get anything like game changing out of it. So it is just, go in and have fun. Don't worry about
This is
min-maxing this.
This is our chance to talk in brief about the battle arena, which at this point of the game, especially as a young player, this was my favorite part of the game. Where
it's pretty sick.
It just incentivizes you to like maximize Cloud or whatever character you choose to submit for single combat against the battle arena. Every time you win a round, it's gonna put a slot machine that has status effects on your character. Most of them bad. Sometimes you can get lucky sevens, which doesn't attack, which does nothing for you. And other times, if you're especially lucky, it'll cure your character in between battles. But most of the time, it'll negate different materia types, or it'll cut your MP in half, or cut your health in half, or take 10 levels off of your character, or take your weapon's effectiveness off of whatever you're doing. And so it can really mess with you. And it's all randomized, and it's quite fun. I'm not a gambler, but I get it.
Yeah,
this is as close to like true gambling as I can enjoy.
There's speed running communities based around this kind of gaming, this like randomization of where and when do you get items in your journey, and what does that change about how you have to play and how you have to fight, et cetera, et cetera.
The carrot that they're dangling first and foremost is Cloud's level 4 limit break Omni Slash, which is quite good. And it requires 64,000 battle points. And okay, in order to, this is where it gets a little tedious. In order to participate in the battle arena, it requires 10 GP. GP being gold saucers, specific currency, which you can only attain through Chocobo races or Wonder Square arcade games, or that weird guy who sells it in the front. Have you dealt with that guy before?
Not that I recall. But
when you arrive at Gold Saucer in the cable car, there's this big room, and in the back, there's a random character who will generate, and he'll trade you gil for GP.
Oh.
And that's definitely the easiest way. You just need to keep, if he's not there in the background when the team arrives in the cable car, there's that like the area with the save crystal.
Yeah.
He's behind the save crystal, and he's like in the shadows, kind of easy to miss. But basically, if you want to spam his chances of appearing, you just keep taking the cable car back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and eventually you'll see him. He'll become rich to this den of capitalism, because Gold Saucer is not cheap.
I feel like the optimized way to sort of do the Cloud limit break thing is like just do the Chocobo racing sort of sequence, because like you're gonna want to in late game do a lot of that.
Yes.
And you're just gonna be racking up GP from that.
That's the smart way to do it.
And once you're strong enough, the battle points almost like exponentially start racking up. It's not as tedious as it sounds once you're prepared for it.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But what are the other carrots that they're dangling in front of you? Because once you get Omni Slash, you can also get some materia types that are quite lucrative. You try to leave the Gold Saucer after attaining the Keystone. Damn train's out of order. So Kate's,
you're locked in this prison of hedonism.
Kaishi, cat, Moogle, robot, puppet. He knows a guy who knows a guy. Books you the haunted hotel. And there's some touching moments because at the haunted hotel, it's quite charming. It's just like spooky ghosts that are just like sitting at the tables and woo. But
I like that there's this like campy hotel thing around, and then we cut to the party.
This is the touching moment I'm talking about.
Yeah, doing this touching moment while these ghosts are playing chess in front of you.
Yeah, like classic, like white sheet ghosts.
Yeah.
Just,
And
and they wave
waves.
to the camera. But Kaishi is like, hey, it's weird. Like it's not often that we get to like all be together like this.
Yeah.
And at this point, we've got the full roster. We got Barrett, Kaishi, Yuffie, Vincent, Sid, Nanaki, Tifa, Cloud.
Interesting.
Aerith.
You have the 3 newest characters all like, it'd be good for you to catch me up. And then Barrett goes, I've been here since the beginning and I still don't know what's going on.
That's right. Barrett speaks for all of us. Yeah, Cloud, he's like, number one, we are going after Sephiroth. And Sephiroth seeks the promised land. And Aerith refers to the promised land as a land that promises boundless happiness.
For the Cetra.
For the Cetra.
To return to.
Cetra are the ancients. Aerith is the last of her people.
Barrett asks if it's some kind of disease.
Cetra.
Sounds like AIDS. Yeah, that's what the ancients call themselves, Aerith says.
So I'm going to go on. I just need to make, I had a realization as to, I think, why I understand the importance of Aerith being pronounced Aerith. She is quite similar, and she's painted as the yin to Sephiroth's yang, and a lot. Aerith and Sephiroth are phonetically paired. Very like, you can't say Sephiroth without saying Aerith in a certain way.
Yeah.
But what we know about them right now is that they're both seeking the promised land for very different reasons. They're both one of a kind in their like lineage. They both have those weird arched bangs, like on their forehead. You know what I'm saying? Like they have like those like curtained bangs that just like they're very dramatic. They're both orphans raised by surrogates, and just some food for thought. As we go on, we learn that Sephiroth seeks the black materia, whereas Aerith has this good for nothing white materia. Important to consider at this point.
Yeah, I'm digging into the etymology of Sephiroth as the tree of Sephiroth, or the tree of life.
Sure.
In the Kabbalah. Oh no, I lost my page. It is usually referred to as the that's a tough word. Kabbalistic tree of life, to distinguish it from the tree of life that appears alongside the tree of knowledge and good and evil in Genesis. So it's a little different than that. The concept of a tree of life with different spheres encompassing aspects of reality traces its origins back to Neo-Assyrian Empire in the 9th century BCE. The Assyrians assigned moral values and specific numbers to Mesopotamian deities, similar to those used in Kabbalah, and claims that the state tied these to sacred tree images as a model of the king, parallel to the idea of Adam Kadmon. What I take it as is like, with it being the basis for Sephiroth's name, is like this sort of almost like an attempt for a human to control the knowledge of like the ancients of the deities, to have a grasp on it, if that makes any sense. And Aerith's name just being air and earth, just being the nature,
sure,
is like the counter to that of like, you can't control it. That's kind of my interpretation.
I think they, in early drafts of the game's like script, Sephiroth was supposed to be Aerith's brother. There's all these. They wanted them to be very similar, in physically and like spiritually, but just opposite ends of a spectrum. And I also think they named him Sephiroth because it sounds cool,
and it sounds cool as heck.
Yes, but it could just be coincidence that their names are very similar, as well as the other traits that tend to
plenty
show
we can track from it.
Aerith says, she has this materia that's good for nothing. But another way that you could look at it is that like it's good for nothing because it hasn't needed to be used.
Yeah, its purpose has not arisen yet.
Exactly. So talking more about like these men in black capes that keep popping up and all these like very important landmarks that they've gone to. Nanaki makes the distinction that he's like, well, I have a tattoo of number as well. Like, and Hojo did it. I think Hojo did it to these guys too.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, you think about like the reason I don't like to call him Red 13 is because that's his slave name.
Right.
And like, it's weird that they make a point of like being like his real name's Nanaki. Anyway, Red 13, let's get back to work.
Yeah. And like, he's like, kind of having an anxiety attack as we're talking about the men in black capes of like, am I
going to go crazy? Maybe.
He says, am I going to go mad like them or something? Yeah. So,
but you know, basically while they're having this really important discussion in front of all these ghosts in this cute haunted hotel, the group reestablishes its resolve to focus their efforts on Sephiroth. Aerith gets kind of flustered. She's like, she wants to say something, and then she runs off to bed. And that the gang is like, all right, well, time for bed. Now, Josh?
Yeah. All right.
I went on a date with Tifa.
Oh, fuck you.
Yeah, boy. I was so happy because Tifa is...
I obviously went on a date with Aerith.
So this is the part of the game where the crows come to roost.
Yep.
Cows come home to whatever.
You in a hidden point system, you have been racking up points of how you treat people, who you decide to have in your party, all kinds of little details to mathematically add up and tell the game who shows up in the middle of this night to invite Cloud on a date. It can be Aerith, it can be Tifa, it can be Yuffie, or it can be Barrett if you've shown no appeal to any female character at all.
I wish.
I've done them all.
I wish.
Sure.
I don't even know like how many like where the opportunities present themselves like is completely hidden to the gamer. It's just it has to be inferred that anytime they give you an option to be rude or to be charming or to not talk to them at all, it's I think about this gameplay mechanic a lot.
Yeah.
As I play newer games now.
It's really brilliant.
Yeah. It set this game completely apart. Not only is this game like playing matchmaker and like, you know, this is like a dating sim of sorts, but it's also like showing you that you can manipulate who you go on the date with. It's not just with Aerith. It's not just with Tifa, like you already listed. So first, whoever you go with, first you go to Enchantment Night, which is a free show over at Event Square. And you've mentioned before that, like, you know, in previous Final Fantasy games, they're often like framed as if they're like stage shows.
Yes.
And this is where the game gets to have fun with that. And they get to play with sort of like the oldest of tropes from like sword and sorcery and like role-playing games where let's see, the Princess Rosa, and this is the basic plot of the play in which Cloud and his date are going along with. They've been selected from the crowd to be characters in this play. The Princess Rosa, that's who your date is, has been kidnapped by Volvados, the Dragon King, the evil Dragon King, in the magical land of Galdia. Cloud plays Alfred, the hero, and then there's a king, and there's a knight, and there's a wizard. Basically, this show it gives you the chance to fuck with the show. Or you can like go completely off script, have some fun, fluster the.
You can be a crazy ass white boy, or you can be accommodating and be a good boy.
That's right. That's right. I went for the good boy because I just wanted to see the straight narrative of the show.
Yeah, I mean, my footage is on the YouTube playing right now, so we'll see. If I don't recall if I was a good boy, but I think I was.
But basically, Cloud has to talk to a couple of different characters, and they resolve that. You know what'll save the day? True love. True love kills the dragon.
Obviously.
So Cloud goes and he kisses Tifa's hand. And
Princess Rosa, nice little throwback to Final Fantasy IV.
The dragon, I love this little detail. So Cloud kisses the hand of Princess Rosa, whoever is playing Princess Rosa, and then we hear the battle defeat sound effect that we've heard hundreds of times at this point. And then the dragon is hoisted up into the rafters. And then everybody ballet spins off stage. It's very charming. It's cute. And luckily it doesn't take too much time.
And canonically it should happen with Aerith. I'm sorry. You're dead wrong.
I mean, the game wants this to happen with Aerith. It puts all of the favors in first and foremost toward it happening with Aerith.
So, on that note, first off, I found a full guide on it.
Yeah.
I think we should
like how to manipulate the dating game?
I think we should do this as like a bonus episode.
Ooh.
Like I could just quiz you
Go
through
on.
all of the like this could be a Patreon.
Patreon.com/camp video games.
Like it lists every interaction that can change the point system.
I like this.
And I think what we should do is quiz, like one of us quiz the other of like what response do you think adds or subtracts to whom, you know? But I will state the game wants you to go with Aerith.
Yes.
Because
thematically it makes so much more sense.
And mathematically, your base points are for the point system that decides Aerith 50 points.
Yep.
Tifa 30 points.
Okay.
Yuffie 10 points. Barrett 0.
Woof. So you gotta really know how to woo Barrett.
You have to hate women to get Barrett.
Sorry, but I love women. I trust women.
Yeah. One more note on the play. I love that the Evil Dragon King gets abbreviated to EDK. That EDK out here busting things up. So yeah, the play it's silly. It's just meant to be
it's charming,
light, charming, romantic moment.
And then it's time for the romantic gondola ride.
Yeah, then it's time for the important shit.
Okay, I'm just gonna like tell you what Tifa said.
Yeah.
So that you can then tell me how Aerith acted on this, because it's been a while since I've had a date with Aerith in my relationship with Final
Before
Fantasy
I tell you the canonical version.
Yeah, sure. You just had such a serious look on your face when you said that.
God damn it, guys. Get on the same page as me, everybody.
Okay, Tifa said two very important things while on the gondola with Cloud. First, being old friends is hard. She says this to Cloud.
Okay.
Because Tifa, the whole time, she wants to say how she feels about Cloud to him, but she's just not able to. And then, so yeah, first, being old friends is hard. Second, Aerith would be able to just say it. She says that.
She says that?
Tifa says that. Now,
she would be able to say what she's feeling.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Now, and
because Aerith has a emotional intelligence that like the rest of them don't, and it's sort of implied that comes from her being an ancient in some regards.
She's an old soul.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. That's, I mean, the gondola itself, it just looks like a gutted out hell house. And there's like nice fireworks. We get some cute CG of the outside of Gold Saucer.
Yeah. Do you have to be looking for it? I mean, I always try to look that way.
Good Lord. I don't think I did that at all.
You have to stick your head out to find it, but wait, is there anything else to Tifa's gondola
No,
ride?
that's really all that like stood out to me from our date. But if you want to just go through what Aerith
first
does.
And foremost, I was just yelling at Cloud. Like what are you doing? What is this body language? What like
he's like his arms are crossed. He's uncomfortable. He doesn't know how to
absolute
date.
dirtbag. Like you're not even you're sitting in the middle of the thing instead of like up against it being excited with her. You got your arms crossed. You just like are ignoring half of what she's saying. You piece of trash. But yeah, I always assume like you have to look out the window to see the FMVs. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what I always make a point to do is just be looking out the window. You don't want to miss the cool FMVs.
Yeah. Man, these FMVs. I took up way too much space on my very old computer when RP Gamer was like providing all these FMVs just to download. God,
I already told you about how like you can just dig in the CD of the PC version, and there's just a folder of
That
them.
rocks.
Yeah.
That totally rocks. What else? Anything? How Aerith acts during this date? What she has to say?
She points out that Cloud.
Start talking about her ex-boyfriend.
Well, that just like there's some similarities with you and someone else in my life. You're right. But like you're different. Like she's starting to see the cracks in like what Cloud is, and that's rapidly going to escalate as things move forward over the next portion of the game. So if you're with Tifa, does it do this where it plays the FMV over this, where she says, Cloud, I'm searching for you.
No.
I want to meet you.
Ugh, I hate when women talk
Cloud
like
says,
that.
but I'm right here. And she says, I know. What I mean is I want to meet you. So this is, to me, like, that's the canonical thing that should happen here.
That's what the game wants to happen.
Right.
I'm not arguing that. I'm just saying I just wanted to go on a date with
So
Tifa.
Tifa doesn't do anything like that. She doesn't.
She is much more reserved than Aerith. I didn't take notes on every single thing that happened.
Okay, yeah, obviously. But so that is a huge setup for the next dominoes in our scenarios that are about to fall.
We're about to roll through some explanations.
Yeah.
Or at least we're going to get more questions, really.
So, but moving on through this, as soon as our date ostensibly is ended, we're back in the round square or whatever the main hall is called.
I think that's...
Ketshi has left the hotel, and we see him wandering off somewhere. Oh, geez, that cat riding a stuffed Moogle who forced his way in our party seems up to something.
Yeah, shady
Who
cat.
would have thought?
Yeah. Stole the keystone, this little jerk did. We're just getting robbed left and right by our dang party members.
And we just keep rolling with it.
But then we get this like Scooby-Doo chase where like they go through one door, you go through the next door.
Yeah, quite silly.
And get a nice little mini tour of what Gold Saucer has to offer. But
and
this goddamn Keishi gives the keystone to the Turks.
The gosh dang Shinra Turks. So he gives them the keystone, and basically Cloud's like, oh, well, we should beat your butt right now, right?
That's for sure.
And then
Not.
he pulls his trump card, his blackmail that or his leverage that he has over you, that somehow this cat riding a Moogle is in control of, well, or vice versa. It's actually someone in Midgar who has Marlene hostage.
They got Marlene hostage.
Gosh darn it.
Don't tell Barrett. Like, do we just see Barrett like knock the fuck out of Keishi? No, we do.
I
just
would
like
love
zoop.
If Barrett was the one that you're on the date with, he should just like slog him in the face, like just punch that cat off of him. I don't know what happens when Barrett's with you here.
Would be very interested to see that dialogue tree, but Keishi doesn't want to be expelled from the group. They're like, look, yeah, sucks that I did that, but
yeah,
listen.
And also, I want to know. He points out here, my body's just a toy. That's going to be another thing.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
That comes up. So my real body's at Shinra headquarters, which is a very weird phrasing. That feels like a translation error or something.
My real body.
It should be like
I am like
I'm just. This is actually just a remote control toy.
Yeah.
I'm not. No, you idiots! Like I'm not there. Like is what he is explaining. It's just phrased very odd.
Yeah. This robot's more like a drone.
Yeah.
But Kaishi's just like, let's just act like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Same basic thing that happens with Yuffie, where they're like, I know, sucks, right? Anyway, back to business.
This is like, well, let's just go to the temple anyway. What is our directive then to keep going to the temple? Just to follow the Shinra, and
they know that now that the Turks have the keystone, they want to try to get there to still access it. I mean, like, just because they lost the key doesn't mean they don't know where to go.
Yeah, I guess that's a good point.
So-
And one more thing with Keshi is he does give a reasoning of the fact that he's like, well, look, I want to stick around, honestly, just because you guys are like an oddity to me. Like, you're just good for some reason, and I've never been around that.
Yeah, he's
And I kind of want to explore that more.
he's inspired by their like altruistic freewheeling ways. Where
Yeah.
it's like, wait, you don't just go to work and get paid? It's weird.
And that'll make sense when we understand who Ketchi actually is.
The intrigues
yeah.
pile.
Yeah.
When you're done with this like betrayal and then like semi forgiveness of Kaishi, you can then take the train or the cable car out of Gold Saucer.
Yep.
You head to the Temple of the Ancients.
It's almost like maybe there's a reason the car was out.
Ooh, I didn't even consider that.
Oh, maybe we'll find out.
That
more
explains
soon.
why K-Sith is like, hey, let's just go to bed.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's good. Good insight. So we now head to the Temple of the Ancients, and it looks like a big like Mayan pyramid. I think that's the right culture. And when you approach it, and Aerith starts just talking like kind of to the air, seemingly to herself. But we find a man in a black cape with the tattoo of number 9.
Yeah, I like this the scene when you first come in, and she sort of, I think the word for it is like prostrates herself on the bridge, where she's like, oh, whoa, I'm connecting here. You know?
Yeah. She's like, I just got reception.
Yeah, that's a good way to put
My
it.
bars just.
She's
went
like,
all the
I
way.
just got full bars,
Yeah.
some heavy Wi-Fi, and it is downloading data.
Yeah. The black cape guy, he's just going black materia.
Yeah.
But then his body just ascends, which I thought was really creepy.
Yeah. But the thing with like, with Aerith is like, I feel that like that, and maybe a couple things along the way, it's like, yes, she has downloaded the data of like, oh, like I see where I have to go. Like she's seen her sort of like her Christ-like path has been laid out for her. She goes, oh, that's what I have to do. Okay. You know, like,
gotta wander the desert for 40 years.
Right, exactly. Yeah, or like that's her 40 days in the desert.
Yeah.
Facing Satan and accepting her fate.
The last temptations.
Yeah. She's like, that's her moment of that. And then we step inside the temple, and Sung is there, and he's been stabbed by Sephiroth, right? Is that does
Absolutely.
He say that? Yeah. And he realizes Sephiroth's
He's not looking for the promised land.
dude, he's doing something bigger. It's not good. And it's an interesting scene because Aerith, who should have the most tenuous relationship with him, as he's spent most of her life in this little detente of kidnapping her. She's like, it's weird, like he's the closest thing I have to a childhood friend, even though like
I've known him most of my life, not under the right circumstances, basically. But like like I grieve him. Like she grieves over his death because Sung, he's dying in front of them, and Aerith, the pinnacle of humility and forgiveness and all of the good person traits is just like coming front and center with her. She's just so forgiving of who he is, and just grieving over this man who's been hounding her and ruining her life. But he hands over the keystone and tells them what needs to be done.
And then we use that bad boy. We go in and we enter the most obnoxious room in the game.
It's cool
the
though.
MC Escher temple puzzle.
But when they this is just like a stylistically similar to Sephiroth, when he puts the keystone in, Cloud descends through the floor, much like how Sephiroth appeared in the ship when he first introduces you to the Genova battle fight. Aerith is like having a hard time with the amount of information that she's being fed from the temple. It's like it's like when Danny Torrance goes to the Overlook Hotel in The Shining. It's just this place that's full of psychic information, and it's been imprinted so many times that she's just overwhelmed. She's like hearing things and isn't able to really put to words what she's experiencing, but we can tell that she's in some like psychic distress as a result of this, or at least overwhelmed by what she's dealing with.
Yeah, it's a emotional sort of overflow of information and awareness of the true state of things. Is kind of the way I interpret it.
Well, like Aerith has always been slightly in tune with the voice of the planet, but the temple is amplifying that voice.
Right.
And that you nailed it with this MC Escher-esque maze that Cloud has to navigate. We're following this like wizard looking character in purple who we find that he's like a keeper of the temple.
They're sort of like a gateway between a living ancient and just like a unending spirit that is in charge of taking care of the temple. Is the vibe I get.
Their vocabulary is yum yum.
Yeah, like they're not truly ancients because they're not sort of their mortality is gone, but they exist enough in this realm to take care of the temple.
That's right. They also give you a place to rest and save and to buy some items if you need.
I'll just say, as much as the MC Escher room annoys the crap out of me, this run through of the temple had me pretty stoked about what this is going to look like in a couple weeks in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth.
Now, when I went to this like purple guy to save the game, Cloud just kind of on the side, he's like, "Oh, we're like at a pretty important place. It's hard. It's going to be hard to go back from here.
Yeah.
Should we save?" And I said yeah. But what I did, I'll get to that a little bit later. As you navigate this maze, we get to play the tumbling U-shaped stone game where you're on this walkway.
Yeah, these stupid stones.
This sucks. Like a lot of the mini games in Final Fantasy VII are not very good, and they don't hold up, and they're more of just a slog. And this is one of them where it's a rhythm game of sorts where Cloud has to run so that the gap in the boulder that's rolling at him will go over him.
Yeah, he does
it's like that old Buster Keaton gag where the barn side falls on him, but the window goes over him.
And like it's just this really chunky, slow animation it's just a little hard to align. It's annoying. But whatever.
It sucks.
You get to the end of the room, the rocks stop flowing, but Aerith wants to go back to this pool in the middle of the room.
Aerith, she finds a pool of ancient knowledge or consciousness. It's like it's like a conduit to the live stream, it seems. And it warns her of danger. But then it gives you a flashback as to what happened.
God, this is so sick.
I love what happens because we see Seng and Elena. They're like studying a wall of mural hieroglyphs that they seem to believe will show them the way to the promised land. And Sung asks Elena if like, hey, after this, do you want to like catch dinner?
Yeah.
And Elena's like, yes, sir. Like, she's like...
This little slice of life amidst their very dangerous moment.
I think he knew what was going to happen to him.
Interesting.
I see this as him, like, he's always known that Elena had eyes for him.
Yeah.
And he's throwing her a final, like, hey, we would have worked. But then he gets killed by Sephiroth, who
enters in the foreground.
It's so creepy
behind us.
Because to frame it for the audio listeners, like as we're seeing this flashback, Cloud and Tifa and Aerith, as the party is, whoever's with you and Aerith, because Aerith is a she demands to go along with you to the Temple of the Ancients. Makes sense. So whoever's with you in Cloud, you're transparent watching the events take place of what Sang and Elena were doing. And then Sephiroth appears also transparent, like in the background, like he's sneaking up.
In the foreground.
Thank you.
Behind our characters.
It looks like he's sneaking up on Cloud.
Right.
And then he goes into the flashback. It's very threatening and just like so sinister.
Incredible.
Let's see. Sephiroth, he appears and he talks about how he wants to become one with the planet and how he's going to meld with the life stream, or seemingly corrupt the life stream. But he kills Sung with his big old sword, or mortally wounds him so that you can find him dying, as we already did. And it's just we're seeing like Sephiroth he doesn't just want revenge against the Shinra. He doesn't just want to find the promised land. He's got much bigger plans. And
he's trying to act up for sure. As he's explaining his plan to Sung, he separates into a second translucent form that is facing us.
Yes.
As if he's telling Sung and us his plan right now.
He knows, he's like, oh, this is going to be a flashback. I should probably talk to the camera.
Or he's operating sort of in 4 dimensions at this point. Like he's just multi-dimensional.
Yeah.
Because that is kind of honestly the way his corporeal form works at this point in the game.
Like mentioned earlier, him floating through the ship and doing all of these strange, like, I mean, he's not doing normal human stuff.
Yeah.
And he's not doing just high level soldier stuff. He has transcended.
Yeah. I don't know if it's spoilery to say, like, he can basically jump in and out of the body of anybody who's been like exposed deeply enough to like Mako treatment and Genova cell treatment. Can just sort of like become Sephiroth.
It's gonna play a very important role soon.
Yeah. And then like this weird menacing thing after the scene, he lowers to the pool, looks like you're about to have to fight him, and then he just takes off.
That's right. So after the flashback, Cloud is just looking into that pool Aerith was referencing, and Sephiroth, or his image, just threatens you and then flies off. And then we get to play the clock game.
Oh, this stupid clock. I spent way too much time making sure I went in every door.
I will say you only need to go to a couple of them and you'll get some very important items. Mostly the most important item that you get out of this clock segment. So there's this clock with a void underneath, and you need to walk across, and you can manipulate the time of the clock so you can go to different hours. Every hour is a doorway. But you need to look out for the seconds hand on the clock, because that'll knock Cloud off of the minute or the hour hand. It's just a they just like piled on these like little games that require rhythm and timing to some degree, and
we just gotta really stretch this dungeon out.
I'm just gonna nitpick on one detail on this clock too. It's all the hours are represented as Roman numerals, and they're all right except for 4, which is represented as I.
Hilarious. Just now noticing that.
Yeah, like they got everything else right, I think. But just 4. They got 4 wrong. And then you start chasing one of these ancient conduit people. Another one of the purple wizard looking guys.
Start chasing security around.
We're doing another Scooby-Doo door gag here.
So yeah, that's a good way to put it. I have no strategy behind this. I just randomly go in and out of doors until I run into him.
You just gotta luck it. I mean, there's if you reference the official strategy guide of Final Fantasy VII by David Cassidy, which has been my reference book for this playthrough, they will give you the doors that you can do, because his path just needs to be intercepted on how you do it. It sucks. And once you catch him, he unlocks a door for you, which takes you down to the room with the murals where we just saw the flashback. And oh my goodness, it's Sephiroth.
Who'd have thunk it? Who'd have thunk it? Yep. Sephiroth is ready to lay out his big evil plan at this point. But as we walk through the mural room,
that's right. Yeah, we get to like take a look at these hieroglyphs.
Yeah,
what are they saying to us?
We can see maybe there's something that's happened here before, and maybe he's trying to make it happen again.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see the temple with this green-looking diamond shape in the middle.
Could be interpreted as being a materia of some sort.
Yeah, people sort of like worshiping it, manipulating it as we move through the murals. And then eventually, in one of the later murals, everybody is on fire from
and a
thing.
meteor is crashing toward the Earth.
Yeah, from a meteor that's crashing.
Sephiroth, yeah, he now gives us his villain speech. His most up-to-date villain speech.
Yeah.
Basically, to quote Sephiroth, once the planet is hurt, it gathers spirit energy to heal the injury. Sephiroth wants to be at the injury's center so that he can manipulate that spirit energy. Essentially, Sephiroth wants to deify himself.
Yes, and he has basically, through his origin and then through his another experience he has later in life that hasn't been explained in full yet, is sort of like Mako and Genova infused enough that he's like, my body is ready. You know, like, my body is ready to be at that center point of where all this energy would gather, and it would become a god if I can pull this off. Yeah.
Josh, does Kefka do the same basic thing in 6?
Kefka moves some statues around that keep the world in balance. I don't know how he takes their power exactly. That's not quite as clear as in this game.
Yeah.
But I think he sort of fuses with these statues and wields their power. And once they're moved out of balance, the world falls apart and he has the powers to just keep making it worse. So it's a similar idea, but this doesn't have the summoning meteors to
not quite as apocalyptic as Sephiroth's vision.
It's apocalyptic, but it's less celestially engaged. You know, it's like every other Final Fantasy game.
The crystals.
The twist is Psyche was aliens.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that from 5. There's aliens, I believe.
4, 5, 7, 8 is a time traveling sorceress.
That's right. Who's also hot.
That has been sent into space.
So
that's kind of aliens. 9 is aliens. I don't think not 12. Let's see. I didn't play 13 is the one I haven't played. 14 aliens. 15. No aliens in 15.
This sounds like the History Channel. Aliens did it all. Back to Sephiroth. After he's just like, okay, I'm going to summon a meteor to make the biggest injury the planet has ever suffered. And I'm going to go and I'm going to suck up all that sweet life stream and I'm going to become one with it. Cloud starts glitching out.
Yeah, dude.
And we've seen him have some seizure style flashbacks where he's hearing voices. I believe we can now imply that the voices he's been hearing have been Sephiroth all along. That is not confirmed in my playthrough, but that's how I interpret it. Back, even Cloud at the first Mako run, look out, this isn't just a normal reactor. I always believe, now I believe that to be Sephiroth talking to him, but I don't know if that's true.
I believe it's it's safe to say at this point it is true. It's Sephiroth talking to him in a way where he's not sure if they're his own thoughts or not.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled was making.
There you go.
Yeah. Now, okay, so we start to see Cloud has this split personality disorder that is that's he's being manipulated by Sephiroth. And I had this another little realization while playing with like Cloud has like a personality crisis, and what set off the alarms on the train was a fake ID.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that interesting? That it was Cloud who had a fake ID that was not up to snuff. So yeah, I just feel like that could have been some very, very, very clever foreshadowing or just a coincidence. But Sephiroth, he sends a dragon at you guys after he
after Cloud sort of snaps out of it, and in his wigging out, we see him doing there's a translucent body. There's multiple bodies.
That's right. That's the split personality.
Yeah. But yeah, then this dumbass dragon comes.
Dumbass dragon. I'm so overpowered. It was just like, whatever.
Yeah.
I got that, dude. Let's see. I've already.
I'm not really, and I just sort of blasted through these next couple bosses that they just were like, I mean, we can't make a dungeon this big and not have bosses.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this dragon had 6,800 HP. So it's like it's a couple rounds of attacks. But defeat the dragon.
What do we get?
You get Bahamut.
Yeah, dude.
Bahamut, as I always call it, Bahamut.
Bahamut. I'm trying to. It's a major part of Final Fantasy 16. I think they say Bahamut.
Not the Bahamen. Who let the dogs out?
Who let the dragons out? All right, so we get our Bahamut materia, and we continue. The clock is ready for us to just run on out. It's almost like we're being guided out.
It's almost like they knew it wasn't fun, and they wanted to just make sure that we could get to the next story beat.
Yeah.
Okay. We find out. Oh my God, the temple.
Oh, I forgot about this stupid. God dang it! This stupid bull mess.
The temple is the black materia,
and you have to solve puzzles to make it smaller.
But luckily,
it becomes the materia.
We'll just get that fucking cat.
But like, don't set up that you need to do puzzles and then not do the puzzles.
I know. I was just like, I assumed they just had. So
I was very confused the first time I played this.
We find out that the temple itself is the black materia, but in order to access it, you need to solve puzzles. But every time you solve a puzzle, the temple will shrink. So it's basically you have to sacrifice a life, in order to attain the black materia. Kaishi, Kate Sith. Cat
this
robot.
Part is so stupid. So stupid.
The reason it's stupid is because it's being thematically and emotionally it's being introduced as like a great sacrifice is about to take place. Where Kaishi is like, oh, well, this is the only like basically he's like, hey, let me do this. Like, I'm a robot, like I've got more of these. It's not a big deal. But then as the gang gets ready to leave him. Oh, well, I guess we should talk about the Demon's Gate as well, because that happens before Kaishi.
Yeah, I mean, it's a demon wall. You've got to have one in every Final Fantasy VII game. Yeah, every Final Fantasy game.
I mean, the first time I fought a demon wall was in Secret of Mana.
Yeah, that one's tough.
Yeah, this one wasn't. It just looks kind of like a xenomorph from Aliens.
I just beat the heck out of it. You got Bahamut at this
exactly.
point.
I used Bahamut. It rocks. Yeah, you just get some stuff. It's nothing really. But okay, so the cat is like doing these puzzles, and it's being like the music's a little like sentimental.
Yeah,
and it's all like oh no, our dear friend Kaishi who just sold us out and is the like I don't know. It's not a sacrifice.
There's that element of it, but then there's also this element of first he does, oh, let me read your fortune one last time for Aerith and Cloud
to
and
test their compatibility.
This sort of premonition where he's like, oh my God, it's going to be great. And he's like, oh, poor Tifa, who's right there
I know.
in my playthrough. I don't know if that changes if she's not there. But like at this point, it's like, we know you're a spy. Why are you still doing this fake like fortune teller personality? Right?
Yeah.
And then when he's off and he's alone, this is what really bugs me. Is like,
what he says to himself.
Yeah, I should be like, he talks like a dumb baby, and has this personality of a dumb baby, of like, I'm gonna be a hero, like a little boy.
Yeah,
but that's not who he is. We know who he's a Shinra guy.
Yeah, we know that.
Off in Midgar. So like, what is this personality that's playing out?
I see this as somebody who's not used to being relied upon for important things, who has come into like clock into their job, they do their shit, but they mostly just live for themselves.
And when we learn who it is, also is like the least respected member of Shinra.
But finally they're doing something for someone other than themselves. This is the baby tone to me implies, hey, I've never been altruistic before. I've never really like lived for other people or like made any sort of sacrifices for other people. This is kind of weird. It's like, do I feel good right now?
Yeah.
That's how I read it.
There's just a lot of stuff that happens in what we've been discussing for the last 20 minutes that I'm very curious and very excited to see in a few weeks in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. To see what's going to be the tone of this if it plays out the same way. So anyway, he solves the puzzles. We don't do it.
He just did like a Rubik's Cube or something.
Yeah, it's just, we're just told he solved the puzzles.
Solved the puzzles. The temple
disappears.
The temple implodes and leaves a crater, and in the center at the bottom is some black materia.
Yeah. I started having a hard time here. Woo, baby. The rest of this gets a little brutal. So they think, oh, this is great. This is as simple as like, let's just go in the hole and pick up the black materia. And whoa, wouldn't you? Who knew it? As soon as you pick up the black materia, Cloud gets a little goofy again.
Starts glitching out again. Yeah.
Cloud glitches. And at this next time he glitches, there's a version of him that
the little baby boy
is slowly delivering the black materia to Sephiroth.
Yeah, it's like he's running like you would in a bad dream.
Yes.
You know, like the molasses.
Happens a couple times here.
The molasses legs.
Yes. Oh, it's awful. Like it's unsettling to experience. So yeah, he has it. They're like, oh great, we've got it. But then Sephiroth shows up, and that happens. But this time, this is a great sort of like way to emotionally manipulate the player.
Yeah.
That as there's the hologram that's clearly giving it away to Sephiroth, you are now controlling a little boy version of Cloud.
It's weird.
Who can't do anything. All you can do is run around. I don't know if he says something this time because it happens a couple times.
You're just like a defenseless child, and that's kind of where Cloud is emotionally right now.
Yeah. It's brutal to watch. It's only going to get more brutal from here. So yeah, you can run around as little baby Cloud, but you can't do anything to stop what's going to happen. I'm playing the footage just because, oh yeah, like baby Cloud, just all he can do is scream, no, don't be afraid. No, don't be afraid.
Yeah.
But Cloud's just going to keep going. What we think is Cloud is going to keep going. Woo! I was having a hard time. All right. So he gives it to him.
Delivers the black materia to Sephiroth.
And
but then Cloud attacks Aerith.
Yeah, dude. I did not remember this.
I didn't remember this either.
So this
was shocking to me.
I was taken aback. I was like out of sorts from this. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it says so much about her character and what she knows about what's going on.
Yeah.
Because she is still nothing but compassionate to him. I think, I don't know if it's how I would tell the story, but I mean, it is case in point, going back to like the Christ reference, is she turns the other cheek because she understands that like this action's not coming from him. And this is where your little boy Cloud again, just watching it happen.
Yeah. This is
watching this woman be assaulted by what you think is you.
Usually you're the guy to bring up Evangelion, but this is really hitting hard on later episodes of Evangelion where Shinji's having this discourse with his younger self in the train car.
Mm-hmm.
It's shocking. It's visceral. It's violence where you were not expecting it, perpetrated by someone who you would not expect to commit acts of violence against this victim as well. Like everything is just shocking to you. Like you just went on a really nice date with her,
right?
And then just from the mere presence and suggestion of Sephiroth, you are now beating Aerith with your fists as she's like unconscious on the ground. It's incredibly just jarring. This is T for teen.
Yeah. It's bordering on M for mature for me. And
then Keiichi just arrives at like the worst time. He's like, "Hey, I'm back. I got another puppet. What's going on?
Hey, I'm back. Let's keep going on our adventure."
Yeah.
At this very serious moment. And then
well, I want to quote Cloud before we get to this dreamlike segment. Cloud says, "My memory. Since when? If everything's a dream, don't wake me." It's this like, I mean, we could talk about like existentialism to like, maybe junior high level existentialism, but like life's an illusion. Love is a dream. There's no self. What if we are all just the dreams of a butterfly? But specifically, what is identity? Who am I?
Mm-hmm.
And with Cloud, he doesn't have that answer quite yet. Everyone else is coming from points of conviction, like especially like just going through like Yuffie's like little character development. Like Yuffie knows who she is. Mm-hmm. She knows where she comes from. Her motivations are clear. Cloud is still muddy. It's not quite clear who he is, where he's coming from, what he's doing.
Yeah, and the if this is a dream stuff goes back to a few episodes I talked about like modern methodology in PTSD treatment and like the way they're starting to understand the science of like this game kind of got it right that like people who go through traumatic experiences lock it away in their brain deep down.
Yeah.
And bringing it up can be so painful that like the way he says that is like that could be a normal reaction to like the pain of whatever he's got buried coming to the forefront, the prefrontal cortex.
A repressed memory is a lot like a spring that you compact all the way down, and all the tension is just resting on whatever's holding it down.
Yeah.
And you need to be very careful with how you release these repressions, because if not, they'll just spring out with full force. Mm-hmm. And like the mind is a fragile muscle.
Yes.
And it's also like the one that we in modern medicine do not understand.
Yes. And it might result in things like assaulting somebody who you would never assault.
Because your brain is locked in this fight or flight mode.
Yeah.
It's like what it's remembering, it's being presented to the mind as what's happening.
Yeah. That's not necessarily exactly what's happening there.
It's almost like he's more like being possessed by Sephiroth.
But when he comes out of it
and
understands there's this part of him that he can't control, it's like, just let me live in the dream. I don't know what the fuck that was, but like, if the rest of this is a dream, please don't let it end. If that's reality, do not let it come back.
Yeah.
Is kind of his reaction.
Yeah.
And then we go to this dreamy forest scene.
Yes, the sleeping forest.
Which is kind of bonkers.
Yeah, Aerith is she's like taking the role of like the Cheshire Cat in this, where she's seemingly she's a little trickster fairy. She's like coming around. Her like real world physics are thrown out the window, and like logic is like she's like materializing on the other side of the screen where she's walking. It's playing off on like these very well treaded dream tropes where nothing makes perfect sense, but it's more just about how it's supposed to make you feel than what you're supposed to like understand what's being done.
Yeah, I want to dive into what's being said on screen. His Cloud just very Cloud-like. He's like, I'm sorry about what happened. Like, I use better language than him, more, but she's sort of like, oh, it's all right, and is basically like telling him, I get it. She's like, I understand what's going on.
Yeah.
I've got this all in control. Let me go deal with it.
Yeah, let me handle Sephiroth.
It's okay that you did what you did. I understand.
You are forgiven, my son.
Yeah. You are forgiven because I know like that was you. That wasn't you, basically.
Yeah.
She understands all the parts and pieces now, but she says like, I gotta go. I gotta deal with this guy. And I'm the only one who can do it.
And I need to do it at the City of the Ancients. That's our next destination that is that Aerith gives you. And then like, I mean, for now, like, okay, what the stakes? Sephiroth has the black materia. He's gonna use it. We need to stop him before he uses it. That is the ticking clock for the rest of the world right now. And
if we remember from way back early in Midgar, Aerith has a quote unquote do nothing materia.
Good for nothing.
Yeah. So she's gonna go and she says, I'll come back when it's all over. And is there anything else in this dream sequence before we wake up that's important here?
The voice of Sephiroth like seemingly like confides to Cloud. He's like, this Aerith she's gonna be a problem. Like I'm gonna like we're gonna need to deal with this problem, basically. To bring up The Shining again, it's very much like Jack's relationship with Delbert Grady, who's like, I had a daughter once who misbehaved and I had to correct her. And it's just this like foreboding is like, hey, like I'm gonna need you to do something. Yeah. It's like mob boss talking to I'm gonna need to call in that favor kind of thing.
And as Sephiroth saying that, Cloud is doing that molasses stream run before Sephiroth comes down. So he's like a little helpless. They're essentially like fighting for the two of them are fighting for like which Cloud is gonna show up.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. And that's gonna become very important soon because next, Cloud wakes from this dream, and he's being, over him is Barrett and Tifa. I think it's like that every time. And we're in the inn in Gungaga, and basically, like, Barrett is like, "What the fuck did you do?" Like, he's not playing like the careful, like. He's not being very diplomatic at all. He's just like, you blew it, man.
Yeah.
Like, but they need to go to the Sleeping Forest, which is much like the Lost Woods. It's you can't enter it without getting lost. And in order to solve that riddle, you need the lunar harp, which can be found in Bone Village.
Let's I want to dwell on.
Oh yeah. This is important. Barrett and Tifa looking over Cloud as he's waking up from this weird prophetic dream.
Yeah, and Cloud has decided like he doesn't want to do this anymore. He's too scared of like, dude, I don't know who I am. Yeah, somehow I keep getting taken over by Sephiroth, and that seems like a liability.
He's afraid which Cloud will show up.
Yeah.
and he would at this point he's trying to quit.
Yeah.
He's he's waiting for that last train out of Tokyo 3 or whatever.
Well, and then it's Barrett who is, while he's annoyed with him, he is like, sorry, we've got responsibilities at this point because we've set things in motion.
Yeah.
And says, can't get off this train we're on.
That's right.
He
That
does
train.
the train line again. And
brings you right back to that opening cinematic.
Yeah.
The game first starts of the train that's seemingly hurtling toward Aerith.
And then we get this great line of Barrett trying to get Cloud to
This is his pep talk.
a pep talk, get him to focus up. Barrett goes, people get depressed in life because they don't know what's up.
Preach. Preach, Barrett.
It's so good. That's an all-time RPG text box right there.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of them in this game, but that one's pretty good.
Barrett is he's not the best motivational speaker.
But it works. We get
It
Cloud
does.
on his feet.
Yep.
We get him into the robot, and he goes to the Skull Village or whatever it's called.
This backs up a observation I made in an earlier episode where Cloud was ready to give up, but the only thing that could get him to continue the fight is that people are depending on him. And that's why when you first leave Midgar and Avalanche is officially disbanded, that's why Aerith suggests Cloud be in charge of the party.
Mhm.
It's because she knew that that's what Cloud needed to get out of whatever it is that is holding him back. This lone wolf idea is what the lone wolf is not something to aspire to be.
No.
Wolf pack.
It's not cool.
You need a wolf pack.
It's not cool to be a Sigma male.
No, it's actually pathetic.
It's pretty embarrassing.
It's
pretty cringe.
It's damaging, and it's gonna really ruin your relationship with old friends from high school who just got completely radicalized by fucking Jordan Peterson.
Oh, yeah, the alpha males.
Ugh.
Anyways, yeah. So Cloud gets on his feet, and we go to Bone Village, Skull Village. What's it?
Bone Village. But Barrett.
This place is stupid.
Barrett's way of assuring Cloud that things are going to be okay. He's like, whatever happens, happens. Whatever.
But I'm going to beat you up your spiky head if you go off again.
That's right. I'll get the net, boy.
I'll tell you, go out and get me a Switch. Give me the biggest one out there. I'll know if it's not big enough.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, you need to go play the Lunar Harp archaeology game.
Yeah, it's just dumb.
But so Bone Village it's an excavation site where you can command 5 different archaeologists to dig, but they send an explosion through the ground. It's Jurassic Park. It's the opening scene to when you are introduced to Dr. Grant and Dr. Sadler in Jurassic Park. They shoot the shotgun shell into the ground, and then they can calculate the vibrations to then get a readout of where the bones can be found. In this case, you just tell 5 people, go here, here, and here, and here. And then they all look toward where they believe the lunar harp is buried. And then you take one more point and you put it where you believe they are all looking. Then you'll find the lunar harp. It's a dumb game. It's not fun. It's just there to make you do it.
Yeah, I mean it's a little fun when you can come back.
You can come back and look for treasure.
But in terms of the pacing of this moment we're in,
Yeah.
it is just slams the brakes.
Yes, well put.
For something just completely arbitrary.
We're right now we're dealing with identity crisis, with existential dread, with the looming apocalypse being not only a apocalypse, but then the birth of an evil god as it is. And then they're like, let's play a game. That's where this game does suffer in terms of its pacing. I agree with you completely.
I feel I get they needed some lore based explanation for why people can't just follow into the City of Ancients, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's a little odd. It's fine.
It's fine. But yeah, so what this is really explaining is why you need the lunar harp is because nobody can navigate the sleeping forest. AKA meaning nobody can reach the Deku Tree.
Yeah. This is definitely the Lost Woods or whatever. Yeah, and you go in with the lunar harp and it wakes up. You can get a Kujata summon materia floating around amongst the trees.
Now, I specifically remember it being spelled differently as a kid. There was no U in the summon's name, and that's concurrent with my strategy guide. It's just KJATA.
Oh, interesting.
And
it's so weird the things they decided to fix.
Yes. And then also let the pre-rendered backgrounds go to shit because it's so much less like clear and like the fidelity is missing from the pre-rendered backgrounds. It looks a lot worse than I remember,
well,
which might be and also what this game teaches us is don't trust memories.
That's a good point. But the port is a bare minimum job. And so what did they change? They changed that? Did they change This Guy Are Sick?
I believe that's correct, yeah.
But they didn't take out Tifa saying the R word?
They didn't.
There was another one like that. There's just like one or two other translation things that I'm like, this seems like something I would have fixed before renaming Kujata.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Bizarre.
But what is Kujata? I haven't used it yet.
And also, I do believe this translation has not been updated since like early 2000s, maybe, which is another reason like maybe why they didn't take out the R word. It was still kind of okay then.
We still weren't woke.
Yeah. It's a sort of tri-delt materia of fire, ice, lightning, and then a stampede by a bull.
That's it. The bull. Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, let's move along here. We got some big news to get to.
Sure do. So welcome to the City of Ancients. It kind of looks like Bikini Bottom from SpongeBob SquarePants. It's seriously though, everything is coral based. Everything looks like natural underwater structures that have been retrofitted to be domiciles.
Yeah, that have just like degraded in as the water receded or something.
Yeah. I would love to see what this place looked like when it was occupied by ancients. Like this is that forgotten kingdom that we were treated to with Breath of the Wild, where you not only see this beautiful castle, but you see it in ruin. So you get to see the deconstruction of it and how time has eaten away at its rigidity and such.
Yeah, there's an interesting part in the remake that when you're infiltrating Shinra Tower, you are forced to go through what would a civilian tour of the Shinra headquarters be?
Oh, cool.
And they talk about like the Promised Land, and their view of it is a sort of like the sort of arts term for it is like Frutiger Arrow style. That's like the aesthetic of it, that like just like sleek white green pasture, but like futuristic sort of shaped housing and stuff. That's like Shinra's version.
That's their campaign promise.
Yeah,
of what the Promised Land is.
Yeah, they show this like video of it.
Yeah, or just rendering,
and they assume that's what the ancients lived like.
That's funny because it's like, what is heaven? Like,
right.
Heaven is up for
Pearly
interpretation.
Gates. Pearly gates and white people with wings.
But for the devil, would heaven not be like a fire pit and like all of the things? Like when you like heaven is a state of mind,
right? And so that's interesting to contrast it to this. That is a more, I don't know. I think of this as like a small tribal building with the land aesthetic, and it'll be interesting. Again, we'll probably go here in a few weeks in a rebirth update and see what it looks like. I'm
really excited to hear what you have to say about it, because I'm gonna give myself some time between playing this original Final Fantasy VII, and I might wait until it's all done so I can blast through it uninterrupted.
It's gonna be like 5 more years.
I am nothing but patient.
Yeah. All right. So, well, let's get into this.
We find the comet materia, bro. It's so powerful, and it's also quite thematically poignant. is it not?
Yeah, we take a nap and then head to the central structure of the city.
Cloud seems to be like
where we
drawn
find that common
by
materia.
Eris's like presence to that spot, or maybe he said he heard her voice or something like that. Cloud's just like, we got to go this way. And then we get this big conch shell looking building in front of a beautiful pool illuminated by sunlight. You go in. There's a completely hidden staircase that took me a while to find.
Yeah, your clue is if you came here before, there were some like clownfish holograms there, and now they're gone.
Interesting.
But it is difficult to find.
This shit looks great though. So you go, you descend, and there's this like ethereal, crystalline stairway leading to like an ancient magical castle balustrade that is just
wild,
like completely aesthetically is very different from everything we've seen so far. It's otherworldly seemingly, or at least so old it's new again, like that like ancient technology that surpasses our own. And look, there's Aerith.
Yeah, interesting little detail that if you're I cut it off wrong. I tried to bring it up on the YouTube here. You can run on a ledge overlooking and see Aerith praying on the dais before you actually come down here to the bottom, very bottom, where Cloud separates and begins an ascent to where Aerith is on this altar, this dais. In silence, she's sitting. She doesn't go, "Oh, hey guys, you're here, guys, great."
I'm just talking to God.
Yeah. She just keeps at whatever she is doing.
She's quite intent. And yeah, Cloud is like lily pad frogging from one stone column to the next up to her. He's ascending to her, and you approach, and then the Cloud sees all red. He falls to his knees, and he draws his Buster Sword. And
another great moment of making the character, like emotionally manipulating. Sorry, not the character, the player.
Yeah. Making you do what you don't want to do.
Yeah, like this game cannot advance. I tried walking away after pulling my Buster Sword out. I said, I don't want to do this.
That's right.
I do not want to do this.
This is a rare opportunity to walk around with Cloud's non-battle character model with a drawn Buster Sword.
Yeah.
It's, I think, the only time you get to do that. It's very cool.
Yeah, and then
then he's about to execute Aerith with his Buster Sword.
The only thing you can do to advance the story at this point is to go in front of Aerith and press the action button to set Clouds through a series of motions leading to him swinging the sword down on Aerith and Barrett yelling at him to stop it and snapping him out of it. I mean, you feel the heft of this. And then we cut to the FMV of all FMVs. If you know, you know.
The one that changed video games forever. We get a nice little looksy-loo back and forth from Cloud and Aerith, and then Sephiroth comes down and a downward stab goes right through her abdomen. No blood.
Dude, I was feeling it this time through.
Yeah.
I was just the right amount of on edibles and just the right of like emotionally in my whatever that like when that sword went through, I went, oh, like I physically felt it. But very important. This materia bounces out of her ribbon after she is stabbed.
The ribbon that was tied around her hair, right? It was like a part of a hair tie.
Yes.
That's where she was storing this materia.
As a first-time player, I went, oh, it's green. She's losing a random magic materia.
Yeah.
Can we say what it is at this point?
I mean, I think I already kind of said it before. It's the white materia.
Yeah.
But we don't know
what she's doing.
We don't know what the white materia does. But
really great moment coming up here where
so Aerith just died. Sephiroth just killed her.
But Sephiroth is
That's
like
so good.
Doing
more of his villain speech, and Cloud's just not having it.
And a really great way of showing it is Cloud's text box pops up and interrupts
Yes.
Sephiroth, telling him, shut up. And yeah, Cloud emotionally continues to just be like, shut the fuck up.
Right.
Shut up. I do not care.
Sephiroth, his arms out, in like worship almost, or like exaltation. And he's like, this girl will soon re-enter the live stream and blah, blah, blah. And like, yeah, Cloud's is like, I don't care about the big picture. I just know that you killed my friend.
Yeah.
Like, all of the machinations of a would-be god mean nothing to somebody whose life could just be taken away. Like, the big picture doesn't matter to the little people.
Yeah.
All that matters to the little people is whether or not they're going to have the means to live a healthy, happy life with the people they love.
Yeah.
And then it's almost like Sephiroth took the role of the Shinra in dropping the plate, where it's like, Aerith is the people of Midgar. Shinra dropped the plate on them. Sephiroth is that plate that has just like decided to come down.
Yeah.
He dealt with the problem as he sees it. That's all he sees. That's all Sephiroth sees. He's like, oh, this girl's going to be a problem. Problem solved.
Yeah.
Nothing a good old Masamune blade can't solve.
Yeah.
And so as Cloud has feelings finally. He's like, hey.
Yeah, his reaction's a little unearned. Again, I assume that will be corrected.
It's going to be so much more
I mean, he's
nuanced.
already a much more dynamic character in Remake, but I assume that's going to be a lot more earned. Also, assuming that this event happens the same way.
We'll find out soon enough.
Yeah.
But so before Sephiroth flees the scene of the crime, he says to Cloud, you are... And he doesn't finish the sentence.
He says, because Cloud, you are. Like, he's like laughing at the fact that he's crying. He's like, you're crying? That's stupid. Because Cloud, you are.
And then he throws
a piece of Genova.
Life. This is the second time we've fought Genova. First it was Genova Birth. Now it's Genova Life. Ironic, because we just experienced the most profound death in video game history.
Yeah.
The Flower Girl has been summarily executed by the really, really attractive villain. And you fight Genova Life. It's fine.
With Aerith's theme playing.
That's right.
The whole effing time. Just to wreck you even more.
Just to put a little, like, to put that typeface in bold. I feel sad right now.
Yeah.
That's what the game tells me.
Yeah. I told my girlfriend that I played the saddest part of my game that, Sean and I are covering for the podcast.
Yeah.
And it led to a conversation that it was sort of her idea, but something I'd had in the back of my mind that she was like, oh, I'll play it with you. So now she wants me to restart after I'm now 16 hours in with her.
Yeah.
Which is like, you don't meet women who offer to play Final Fantasy VII with you often. You kind of have to take them up on the offer when it's afforded you.
I'm just going to say I know plenty of women that love this game.
Yeah, and like I spoiled it for her only in the sense that I was like, this character that is like a very big deal to me dies. But
you fight Genova Life, okay? It's a pretty standard boss fight, except it's got sad tones to it. Then we are being spoken to by Genova directly.
Yes.
Who finishes Sephiroth's sentence. Because you are a puppet. That's what Sephiroth and Genova are saying to Cloud.
Yeah.
Cloud is a puppet.
So I think we have enough information to say that's like, at this point, there is sort of a symbiotic relationship between Sephiroth and Genova.
Well, it's where it seemingly Sephiroth draws most of his power, his otherworldly power.
Yeah, well, Sephiroth is almost like a vessel for Genova. Like, Genova's the real
villain here.
Yeah.
Sephiroth was just, like everyone else, just caught up in something bigger than himself.
Yeah.
Even though he's already quite a big deal as it is.
Like, Genova is sort of aware of like, oh, I've been given this army by Hojo.
Yeah.
Of all these people who have been injected with my cells. and like that allows me to awaken in them sort of as I please,
Right.
and use them as my like my
puppet.
my grunts,
Yeah.
and my puppets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Cloud takes Aerith's dead body and he wades into the pool in front of that conch shell building that we descended through to get to her place of death. And he gives her a burial, a water burial. He gives her to the water.
As emotionally, as emotional as this scene is, it's very odd. He's standing waist deep, and then she
physics.
sinks hundreds of feet.
Right. There's no. I think it's just supposed to. You're just supposed to go. Yep.
Yep. Sure. It is great. It is a really effective way to tell the player, like, no, this is real.
Yep. Like we just
She's
killed
gone.
her. She's gone. So the reason I did not get the chance to use Great Gospel was because I didn't realize that upon finishing the Temple of the Ancients, or I'm sorry, the lead in to the Temple of the Ancients, like you lose control over Aerith and then you just don't get her back. And
yeah.
I just missed it. I just I went through all the trouble. I did everything that you listed about getting Great Gospel. I got the I think I was at 255 fights, blah blah blah, all that stuff, and then just lost the chance to do it. But I saved a different slot of before I went into the Temple of the Ancients, or the City of the Ancients, or whichever came first. I'm already blanking. Temple of the Ancients came first. I had a separate save ready so that I can go back and finish Aerith's level.
Oh, I did the same thing
breaks.
in case I feel like it.
Yeah.
I just was like, let's just leave that there just in case. But yeah, that is ostensibly the end of disc 1. We get a little bit of wrap up.
Cloud, he reaffirms himself of who he is and what he intends to do, but he also admits, like, he's like, I am Cloud. I was born in Nibelheim. I'm gonna defeat Sephiroth, but I have a person inside me who's not me.
Does he say he's listing these things that are like, these are my identity? Does he say soldier? Does he say ex-soldier?
I don't think so.
Okay. Just curious. Just curious. Again, he wants to quit. He's afraid he's going to do something terrible. And he decides that we got to go. I lost Aerith.
Yeah.
So whatever. Let's just ride this train. He's finally on board the train with Barrett.
That's right. Speeding toward its destination. Campers, if you just found out that Aerith dies in this game, congrats for holding out as long as you did.
Sorry, this is the way you found out. It seems like there'd be better ways than listening to us. As much fun as we are, I just feel like there's better ways to experience that the first time.
Ideally, you find out playing this game.
Yeah, that'd be the better way.
Yeah. I mean, at least we don't have those like horrible YouTube voices. Like, hey guys, let's kill Aerith.
Hey guys, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to go down the stairs and there's going to be like a castle there, okay?
And then skip the cinematic because it's boring.
Yeah, skip the cinematic. It's really stupid, and like he's just going to stab her. It's like really cool, but although I wish it was a little more gory and bloody.
Yeah. It doesn't even make
poggers.
sense. Where's the blood?
Anyway,
hey,
let's get out of this.
Campers, thanks for hanging out. We just killed the purest video game character ever to grace the screen.
I'm gonna go cry.
And good golly, we got 2 more discs of this game, but they're gonna kind of
they're a little quicker.
Join us next time when we go snowboarding.
Hell yeah, dude.
Thanks for hanging out. I would like for you to tell your friends about Camp Video Games. We are always looking for new campers here. You can join us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Is that it?
The places, wherever podcasts are, it's there.
Probably.
Yeah.
Thanks, campers.
All right. We'll talk to you next time. Everybody go hug your loved ones, I guess.
If you'd like to write to us, send a message to campvideogames@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram @campvideogames. If you want to become a real happy camper, you can support Camp Video Games on Patreon. For $5 a month, you'll be granted access to even more discussions about movie-based video games, game-based movies, full-length commentaries, playthroughs, and more. Whether you sign up or not, we're glad to have you here at Camp Video Games.